Motor Carrier Safety, or MCS, officers from police agencies across Northern Virginia joined Fairfax County MCS in a massive joint truck inspection on May 31st. The event was an effort to make the road safer. Out of the roughly 110 trucks that were checked, officers placed 40 of them out of service for serious violations involving brakes, licensures, lighting, steering components, and other infractions. Officers from Fairfax County, Virginia State Police, Fairfax City, Prince William, Arlington, and Loudoun counties, and the towns of Herndon and Manassas pulled trucks over along Route 28 and surrounding roadways. The trucks were driven to E.C. Lawrence Park in Chantilly in order to get them off the busy roadways and into a safe area where they could be inspected. The Fairfax County Fire Department Hazardous Materials Unit was also on scene to lend assistance. Let's join Officer Bud Walker to learn how the MCS officers determine whether a vehicle and its driver are in proper standing to use our roadways.
The residents of Fairfax County will be pleased to learn that the police department does periodic inspections of motor commercial vehicles. Commercial trucks like these are always coming through the county. The police department will pull these trucks over and do an inspection to find out if they are safe and if the drivers are operating in a safe manner. We have 4 full-time officers who do nothing but this all the time. In addition, we have 7 supplemental officers who can come in on big events like the one we're seeing today. All of our motor carrier safety inspection officers have a commercial driving background themselves, so they're familiar with the trucking industry, they know the ins and outs of that industry, and they know the tricks of the trade.
Okay, so we've already talked to the driver, checked out his paperwork, everything looks good, everything's going the door it's supposed to be. We're going to go into the hood first. From this position here, any defects in the tire, tread wear can tell me very quickly about suspension issues, broken steering parts, things like that. I do a quick check, make sure all my lug nuts are tight, look at the condition of the rim, make sure there's no cracks in the rim. I'll step to the front here, I'll look down, I can see the braking components. I can see the brake chamber, which is nice and tight. I can look in, I can see the condition of the brake linings, I can see the brake drum, I can see if there's any cracks in it. I can look at the power steering box, I can look at the pitman arm, I can look at the output shaft connected to that system and all of the linkages that are connected with the steering. From here also, I can see the front suspension. So there's a lot going on in this front part of the truck. Walk around the front of the vehicle, see he's got his front license plate. You can look at the condition of the headlamps, things like that in that area. And basically I do the same thing on the left-hand side. If he's got a state inspection for Virginia, I'll check that inspection while I'm right here. At this point here, I'll take a look down in the fuel tank, shine a flashlight down in the tank and see what color the fuel is. If the fuel is yellow, yellow is good. If the fuel is pink, that means he's using illegally untaxed fuel. This is a typical box truck, it carries produce. If these start to loosen up, the whole upper body can become loose and can cause an unstable vehicle when going around turns, things of that nature. So I can look at the muffler here. No big gaping holes in the muffler or any cracks, any problems with that. I can look at the brake chambers, see if there's any issues with the brake chambers that are facing us here. I can see the condition of the brake lines. From right here, I can look forward. I look right down between the 2 tires, look for any bulges, see if there's any foreign objects stuck between. I can look at the condition of the tire tread. I can check my lug nuts to make sure all my lug nuts are nice and tight. Look for any leaks around the hub, see if there's any oil leaking out. Keep walking backwards. All right, so from this position, I can look between both sets of duals. I can see whether or not we have any bulges in the tire. I can see how close the tires are to each other, which tells me one of 2 things. We may have a low tire pressure situation, or we may have too much weight on the vehicle. Look at the condition of the tire, see if there's any cuts, any fabric exposed. Go back, I check my lug nuts, make sure we don't have loose lug nuts. Each one of these lug nuts weighs about ½ pound, and if it falls off at interstate speeds, it can become a projectile. Airbags cannot leak air. The leaf springs cannot have cracks in them. Look at the condition of the brake chamber and also look at the condition of the lines going into the brake chamber. Because of the gross weight of this vehicle, it's required to have mud flaps. Those are good mud flaps. I can have him run his reverse lights and make sure he's got reverse lights and on a reversal arm. Make sure his rear license plate's not obstructed. And I'm going to look at things real quick too to see what month and year sticker he's got on there. From here, the only thing I'm going to do is check the condition of the frame of the vehicle, make sure there's no cracks in the frame. On the left side of the vehicle, we have our air reservoir tank. This holds air in reserve for the air brake system. Like anything that's mounted on the vehicle, it has to be secure. So I just give it that little quick shove to make sure that it's not loose, rattling around on there, getting ready to fall off. Obviously, if this fell off, it's going to affect the braking system of the vehicle because it's connected by air lines. From here, I'm also looking for possible cracks, especially in this area. And the last thing I check on the vehicle, because I've made my complete circle now, is the battery box. I make sure that the battery has, or the battery's covered, that there's no wires exposed or anything that could cause an electrical short. And by law, they have to have a cover if they're a commercial motor vehicle. The last step is we're going to take a look at the inside of the truck and get a perspective on what the driver sees from where he's sitting. I can see the condition of the windshield. I can look left and right, and I can see what the driver sees, whether the mirrors are properly adjusted or whether the mirrors are broken. I can see the condition of the steering wheel, how much lash is in the steering wheel, the condition of the steering column, whether or not we have a steering component issue here. Take a look at the gauges. I'll start the truck to make sure that the gauges are all working properly. I'll look at the air gauges in particular to see if the vehicle's holding air. I can check the brake pedal from here to see if there's any unnecessary slack in the brakes. I'm going to check the defroster to make sure the defroster works. I'm going to check things like whether or not the fire extinguisher is full and properly mounted. And make sure the driver's got the required safety triangles. We can check, see if his horn works. We check the windshield wipers, we check the defroster, we check every button and switch that driver is going to manipulate up here and do it very methodically. We all operate under the federal motor carrier safety laws. So because we're federally certified, we can operate out of jurisdiction, we can do truck inspections, and we can ultimately put trucks out of service if need be. So it's nice to be able to get other departments involved. We have state police here. We all kind of work under the umbrella of the state police. Fairfax County, we're considered local partners, just like Fairfax City, Loudoun County Sheriff's Office, Arlington. We're all working with state police, but we all can work together on this because we're all working under that federal certification.